right now see the Bollards Direct Australian Sports Sedans of Victoria come down in the Advanced Car Carriers Championship. And we have got a couple of interlopers in the field this year. The championship is pretty close. Well, it's almost in Jim Policina's hands, and he's made an emphatic start to it. That even, in fact, he has passed the safety car out on the warm-up lap, and is now just pulling back into line there for Jim Policina. So he comes back into pole position, and Jim did that with a 134.36. Darren Hossack right alongside, not in an Audi, but he's potentially going to be at the next national round. He is in his Red Rocket, car number 5 out there. Darren Hossack at the wheel qualified at a 134.82 in the Advanced Car Carriers Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. So looking out for Darren Hossack, a couple of times champion, and Jim Policina is going to relish in the challenge here. The next one on the grid is Brett Dickey, the guy who has been absolutely braining it over at Pikes Peak over the last couple of years and has had some very, very strong results. Watch for the white Bollards Direct car number 29. Alan Nash is the next one in the field, and Alan in car number 11, the Commodore ex-supercar. There it is there in the JD livery. Then we've got Adam Poole, who is multiple champion in improved production, joining the Sports Sedan field. John Ippolito, who is in the title hunt there as well. So it's really Jim Policina and John Ippolito, and John is out of position number 6 in car number 97. And then we go to Graham Gilliland, Jeremy Davison, Ben McLeod, who joined the street tour last night, Rand McGlurkin, Greg Lynch, Andrew Parker. Greg Lynch is actually in title contention as well. Andrew Butcher, Aidan Munger, Andrew Cook in the number 66. Warren Clellan in the Mark Car Mazda there, the number 33. Ben Kelly, Rand McGlurkin Sr. Then it is David Shaw, Bruce Hanley, Darden Brown, and Tegan Collins in the V8 RX-7. This is a rolling start, and Callum Brannigan is right alongside me. Welcome, Cal.
Good afternoon, Darren. Very thankful to be here this weekend. Look at that sight. Isn't that a sight to behold? Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit under the baking sun in the springtime, and we've got Sports Sedans coming up right now, and this beautiful drone shot just showing you the extensive quality field that we've got here for racing here for the final round of the Victorian Motorsport Australia Indoor Sports Sedans Championship. And as you alluded to before, a lot of the competitors are building up towards the 50K plate, the big race, the annual spectacular coming up here at Island Magic coming up later on this year. But very excited for this race coming ahead, Darren. On pole position, Jim Policina in a beautifully presented Vodafone Commodore prepared by 888, raced as it was back at Bathurst back in the day, alongside Darren Hossack in a car that doesn't quite have the power of some of the bigger V8s around him, but he has been upsetting a lot of the regular establishment here so far this weekend, and he reckons that there is more speed to come. They're highly compressed as they're coming down, Darren, and we're going to get this race underway. Darren Hossack with the jump there, but will he hold the lead as they come tearing down towards turn 1? He still holds it, but Brett Dickey's having a look around the outside in the number 29 Honda Prelude, and they put Jim Policina back to P3 before turn 1, Darren.
These two have got away very, very smartly indeed. Have a look at Adam Poole. He came from the 3rd row of the grid. He puts the car that's running the Yokohama radial tyres into 4th place here, so he's getting some extremely valuable practice on that car on this track before the Nationals at the end of November. Here's the focus here. Graham Gilliland, what a jump there. He started out of the 4th row of the grid. Graham Gilliland has just made a couple of spots up as well, so he's pushing on very, very hard. He's got Ippolito right in front of him. Here comes Ben McLeod as well. Ben also joined us, as I said, in Cows last night as he understeered off down there at Miller Corner. There's Nash, Alan Nash in the number 11 car, running the ex-Perkins number in the ex-Perkins Jack Daniels livery. We get a good look now. There's Greg Lynch. He's in the title hunt. Also in the big V8s, there is McGlurkin Sr. in the number 56. And that car's pointing the wrong way down at turn 4. Now, this is the challenge. Have a look at Darren Hossack. He has driven away 12A power only. Don't be mistaken. It's not a 13B. Yes, it's got a blower on it, a turbo on it. And so is the car behind him. the Brett Dickey car from Bollard's Direct. He has also a 4-cylinder turbocharged car. This is where Phillip Island sorts you out. The cubic inches come to the fore. Brett Dickey reaches down for it. He turns it up and he holds off the V8 of Jim Policina. So that is immense. 5 litres versus 2 with a turbo, and he holds on. That is not something we very often see here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit.
Geez, there's nothing wrong with the straight line power from the Brett Dickey car. Of course, it's an F-Series Honda power unit under the bonnet, ripped straight out of a Honda S2000, and over the years it's been about a 15 year development plan for that car, where they have thrown a turbocharger onto it, which curiously actually enhanced the reliability of that car over the years. So it's been a labour of love for Brett Dickey with that car. They started building it back almost 25 years ago, back in the year 2000, and have been steadily improving it. Oh, it looks like we've got Parker off there in the Sentinel Commodore, but it looks like he might rejoin there. So a bit of a mishap there, but he should be able to resume there. So a bit of a lock break there as well. So you can just see the Jack Daniels Commodore car. Of course, that was Perkins Engineering chassis number 46, previously driven by Jack Perkins back in the 2007 V8 Supercar Championship. And it's been through several set of hands before Alan Nash became the current custodian of the car. And it is running a 5-litre engine as it did back in the day. And I think he bought it from Aaron McGill, who was running it in the development series before he brought it into his work shed, and he's an extremely proud owner of that car. All you have to do is ask him one question about the Jack Daniels Commodore, and about 15 minutes later he'll finish answering that question, and he loves his time out there.
And when he got it, it needed a big, big birthday, and I tell you what, he gave it 3 birthdays in one, and it is magnificent again, and back to as it would have been, probably even shinier than when when Perkins Engineering campaigned it with Jack in the series. Here we go with Lynch and Ben McLeod. Ben McLeod's car looking fantastic. They've had a tough 12 months with this car, but it is back. In fact, it never looks anything but magnificent. The Black Mamba engineering car, and he does very, very well. Of course, the Maverick Performance crew also help out here with the FC outfit, FYRC outfit. You can work that out for yourself or go down and see Ben and the crew. And Johnny Paletto now, he's got Graham Gilliland. Graham in the now triple rotor RX-7, and it's why it has that magnificent note coming out of the back of it. Poole and Nash now. The interesting thing for me, just looking at the timesheet, is Darren Hossack. Jim Policina's slid into position number 2 with Brett Dickey just going back one spot on that last lap around. But have a look at this, Nash and Poole sweep around. And I remember when David Auger put the Alpha up on that wall there, when it ran right around the edge of the track there in the Super Touring era. It's a long, long way back off the edge of the track now as Nash holds onto the spot. Here comes Ippolito. John really does need to get on with this. He's got to push the 97, and he's got to push it hard, because at the moment, Policina has got all the points in his advantage. And we do go to Island Magic for the sports sedans, because they step out in the August round and run that actual round of the championship. So their championship goes all the way to the end of November, and that is where we will see the final battle unfold. But at the moment, Jim Policina is holding a points advantage in the series. It'll be Johnny Polito, that a black car there with the massive rear wing. No, it's not a next supercar. It's a bespoke sports sedan that John is very, very proud of all of the work he has done to that car, and so he should be. The 97 always looks magnificent, and he's battling it out with Adam Poole, who's got multiple improved production and Victorian State Championships under his belt. And there's Graham Gilliland. Ippolito looks to the inside at 3. It's got to come under brakes here. This is where the challenge will be thrown down. The sports sedan versus the improved production car. Ippolito locks up the right front, runs wide. Gilliland looks for the spot now, and the triple rotor just closing in ever so slightly. Hossack now leading over Ippolito by 1.1 seconds. So, over Policina into P2, and it's just on 1 second.
Graham Gilliland was saying earlier before this race, Darren, that it's the fastest he's ever been around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in that very familiar orange RX-7, and it's rocking a new set of wings. It's got new aero on that car. The team supporting Brett Dickey with his Honda Prelude, chipping in on the Mazda RX-7 just to make sure it's a little bit more slippery in a straight line. And he says well, Graham Gilliland says, it's a little bit to get your head around and try and dial yourself into the new aero configuration, because it does have quite an effect around such a fast circuit like the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. This battle rage is on though, Darren, and as you said before, Adam Poole running in that beautiful white Holden Monaro. It's been about 2 seasons since the South Australian has come over to Victoria to compete in improved production, but he's running it in improved production trim in a sports sedans race, and it's very handy. He's currently running 5th outright. There's a lot of horsepower underneath the bonnet of that Monaro. He gets to tail that ever so slightly, but we should point out, because it's in improved production trim, it's got it's not slick tyres, it's semi-slick tyre Yokohama's on it, and Ippolito behind him is running slick tyres as well. But Ippolito made a slight mistake before, deep under brakes coming up to the corner, turn 4 just in a few moments time, where he locked the front right-hand side of that. Is he going to do it this time again? Not this time, Darren, but you can see he's definitely pressing on, and this is a fantastic battle between 2 completely different classes of car, but it doesn't matter because the roaring V8s are providing plenty of entertainment in this race.
Ray Hislop brought the Falcon into the Sports Sedan Arena here as well, and that was an improved production car. There's Butcher as well, which is also an improved production car. He's dealing with the antics of Andrew Parker there at the moment, so having a good battle. And I think it's Aidan Munger in the background there for the Advanced Car Carriers Sports Sedans. Yes, it is Aidan. He weighs in that Nissan, and it's got some great pace there as well. But yeah, Ray Hislop in his Falcon in improved production trim won a race here in the Sports Sedans. So when an improved production car is driven by a very, very strong calculating driver, they are very quick when you mix them up with the Sports Sedans. As we see Andrew Parker now just moving the car to the middle of the track there, not really flowing the Sports Sedan through the through Honda that time, but he's certainly covering it off. There goes Graham Gilliland leading the way from Ippolito and Davison, Ben McLeod there as well. It's the Bandit security car of Jeremy Davison, car number 37. And he's now in position number 8. So that's a good run. He started out at 8. He's holding place. And there's been a few cars changing spots around him as Jeremy, who has been some good support to our young mate Cadell Ambrose over recent times. Let him have a drive of one of his sports sedans. So Cadell, certainly his career has jumped to the headlines when he jumped into John Gourlay's car. That car has been a little bit more difficult than what they thought to develop. And Darren Hossack. Oh, Ben McLeod goes round. That was not what we wanted to see from the magnificent Commodore. That is one of the most beautiful racing cars you'll see. We can't quite pick it up where it's gone, but Ben spun coming out of turn 4, and he was looking to go straight towards the wall. Hopefully he's hauled it up there. Graham Gilliland now goes across the top of the hill. He's now holding on a good spot, and he's got Jeremy Davison behind him. I'm going to say a couple of blokes that have had more laps than we know, but the field has gone to a safety car. Safety car has been called. These 2 veterans get the message very, very quickly and just back it out. Here comes Ben under replay now for Advanced Car Carriers. 2 cars in front. Ben gasses it up, goes round, and it hits the wall and rips the rear bumper off. Wow, that was a bit of an innocuous hit there, Callum, but wow, is that the bumper, or is that busted the diff and pushed it sideways there? I can't really make that out, but it was a big hit.
Yeah, there's a bit of momentum there, Darren, and of course, off the track, there's been quite a lot of rain in recent days here, so it's extremely slippery, so there was no chance for that car to be pulled up, especially running slick tyres, and look, it looked like it was directly straight into the wall. It wasn't sideways, it wasn't on a corner or anything like that, but the best person to make that assessment at the moment will be Ben McLeod. But as you touched on, Darren, he did participate in yesterday's track to town where we parked out the front of Pino's on Thompson Avenue in Cowes, and that car looked absolutely showroom condition, and he'll be kicking himself for that mistake because no one takes his racing more seriously than Ben McLeod, and it was such a good run up to that race as well, but it looked like it just was grip limited. The rears were just too heated up and he couldn't control the traction coming out there. So, yeah, look, a bit of a tag with the tyre wall. Hopefully it's just cosmetic, so hopefully this is not the end of the weekend for Ben McLeod and the entire team as well, who are so enthusiastic about about his racing, because I think he's brought about 10 people there or thereabouts preparing that Red Commodore here this weekend, and they were all out at Cows last night to watch the track to town.
It didn't take them long to order a pizza and a frothy either, did
No.
it? The crew, the FYRC guys, let's hope they've just got a little bit of patch-up work to do there on Ben's car. Ben is a guy that loves to go fast. He's a great race car driver. The last thing he likes is his car getting a scratch on it, and that'll hurt him. He won't like seeing the car dinged up, and not really sure. I think he just had a whole bit of right foot there. The car went round, and when you hit the grass, just was a passenger there. So there's the drone shot. Great inclusion in this weekend's broadcast to have the drone up there, and a big shout out to the Blendline TV crew, because these things can be pretty tricky to manage from time to time, particularly with some prevailing winds around, and they're getting this awesome stable shot right down, and we can see turn 1, 2, 3, 4, the start of 4, and then coming out of 4 up to Siberia. So great shot. Some good surf out there as well at the moment for those that got new surfboards last night in Cows, Callum.
Yeah, you were one of those people, Darren. I did catch you in the surf shop. I think you got a 6.3 footer with 3 fins
Thruster,
at the back,
yeah,
and you'll be all over the surf coming up later on this afternoon. We should point out one of the corporate suites here this weekend. We won't point out which one, but that is actually Darren's accommodation here this weekend.
So Darren Hossack has got this one very, very nicely until we went to safety car, and there is only 1 minute and 24 seconds left in this journey for the Sports Sedans, and we haven't got any recovery crew arrived down at the exit turn 4 yet. So I would suggest this might be another one that finishes under safety car, and we continue on. Just seeing Andrew Cook in the number 66 outfit, the better electrical livery. And Warren Clellan just motoring around now as well. So Wazza was out there, and great to see him out in the mark car. He's getting his head around it slowly. The guy who used to race the RX-7 in Sports Sedans, as we see the 56 of Rand McGlurkin Sr. retiring back into the field. And I would suggest Rand McGlurkin Jr. is down a lap there, certainly not in P2. So just watching the now pink Calibra, pink and purple, pink Calibra of Rand McGlurkin just slotting in there, albeit a lap down. Darren Hossack will come around, and the checkered flag will be shown to car number 5, and they are continuing around. So the safety car has peeled off, and they will accelerate. They probably won't, because the yellow flags are still being waved and there's no green. So Darren Hossack will lead the field down to take the checkered flag. Significant, very significant victory for car number 5 and Darren Hossack. This car has been in the Williams family hands down in Tasmania. Darren wanted to do a return. He likes the cut of the jib of the Go Gear cars, and he takes a win. And it'll be Jim Policina next, and Brett Dickey just gives us a nice bit of turbo wastegate as he comes past the finish line. So we probably should have given him a wave on that, but I'm pretty sure that was deliberate.
Fantastic effort there from Brett Dickey, running on Kumho's this weekend in that white Honda Prelude. So a bit of an unfortunate end there, especially for Ben McLeod. We sincerely hope himself and the team can get that car assessed, and we will see it back out racing for 2 races tomorrow. But there is confirmation of results on your screen there. The number 5 Mazda RX-7 driven by Darren Hossack, taking out race 1 ahead of Jim Policina in that beautiful Team Vodafone 888 built Holden Commodore, coming home in P2. Brett Dickey home in position 3 with Alan Nash in 4th position. John Ippolito 5th. Adam Poole in 6th position. He's the first of the improved production cars home there, well inside the top 10. Graham Gilliland in position 7, overcoming a few mechanical gremlins affecting that car yesterday. In fact, they visited a local welder who was apparently just a few hundred metres down the road to get that car back up and ready for today's racing action. Jeremy Davidson in 8th position, Greg Lynch, the dentist, in position 9, and Andrew Parker with that slight mishap home in position 10.
Andrew Butcher, the next one home. Aidan Munger in the number 75. Great run there for Aidan, getting it home in 12th position. Andrew Cook, and it is Ben Kelly. Warren Clellan in the marked car, as I touched on there earlier. Bruce Headley, great to see Bruce back running in a sports sedan, a guy that has been around the sport a very, very long time, and it's always a good day at the racetrack when Bruce brings himself to the races. Rand McGlurkin, Darden Brown, Rand McGurk Senior, DNF there, and Ben McLeod. So we've got a bit of a break now because this recovery to get Ben McLeod back off that damp grass down there. So Tegan Collin D didn't get into this race. It was a shame because Tegan was one of the others, Callum, that joined us for the track to town drive last night. It was great to see a couple of the ladies actually down there. We had Jess Bell in her E30 race car, freshly re-liveried, and went back to, as well as Maddie Chester in the MGF in the Rustys car, the tribute to the Cars movie outfit there. So really cool to see a couple of the ladies bringing their cars down as well, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. It's a big thanks to all of the competitors who got involved and brought their race cars out on the public roads and down to Thompson Avenue in front of Pino's.
Right throughout the through the year in state racing all around the country, and of course the National Series, which has been supported by Hollinger over recent times. Of course, at the last round of the state series, the National Series ran, and it was a huge weekend for Stephen Tomasi. Took 3 from 3 and emphatic victory in that particular round of the National Series. The Advanced Car Carriers Victorian Sports Sedans Series now out on track this weekend, sponsored by Bollards Direct. Looking forward to seeing how this pans out as Dean Cam Dean Cam's not even here this weekend, but Darren Hossack rolls out. Jim Policina has all but grabbed this year's championship in the Victorian Sports Sedans. The New South Welshman decided he'd come down here and get some different racing compared to New South Wales, with Stephen Lacey and the crew up there running a very, very strong championship in New South Wales as well. Joseph said, Nick Smith and the guys up there. Here is our grid for race number 2. I'm Darren Smith, being joined by Callum Brannigan, who Sports Sedan fan for a long, long time. Welcome, Callum.
Good morning, Darren. Good morning to everybody around the circuit, as well as tuning in live and free on Blendline TV. And indeed, I've been a massive fan of sports sedans ever since I can remember, Darren. I remember back in the late 90s attending V8 supercar meetings, and they were always my favourite category on the circuit because they were just bigger, better, meaner than the regular supercars, just because they had such stage presence. But starting at a pole, as you've alluded to, Darren Hossack starting from P1 alongside Jim Policina and that beautiful Team Vodafone 888 Commodore. It's probably the most desirable V8 supercar, or former V8 supercar in existence at the moment. Brett Dickey starting out of position 3. He was very fast yesterday. It'll be curious to see how he goes today with overcast conditions alongside Alan Nash, a true student of the sport in the number 11 Perkins Engineering Jack Daniels Commodore. You can see they're warming up the tyres in the background. Johnny Bolito starting out of position 5 alongside Adam Poole in position 6, doing double duties this weekend at Phillip Island. Graham Gilliland in the triple rotor Mazda RX-7 starting out of P7, and Jeremy Davison starting out of position 8.
Greg Lynch is the next one there. He's looking to round out the big V8s championship, and he features in the podium for the Sports Sedan Championship there as well, but starting out of 9th in this one. Andrew Parker alongside then Andrew Butcher in his improved production car. Aidan Munger is also there in the number 75 Nissan. Andrew Cook in the 66, back to Ben Kelly in the number 69 there. Ben Kelly in the Holden Commodore, which was the one in the marshalling area there, the black car. So getting a good look at the number 69 in the marshalling area. Warren Clellan in the 33, Bruce Henley in the number 67, starting out of position number 16. We look further back, it's Rand McGlurkin in the pink Calibra this weekend, the ever-changing colours of that Calibra. Darden Brown back to Rand McGlurkin Senior in the black Corvette or the TA style bodied car. Ben McLeod, David Shaw, and I don't think we've had Tegan Collins rejoin the field. Not too sure. There was some interesting comments on social media that that car had done a rotor. Interestingly enough, it's a V8, so it might have done a rotor button or it might have done a rotor brake, but there it is. There's Tegan right there in the mix, so great to see Tegan on the back. The field former, Darren Hossack, has probably had the most experience in this sort of race start, the rolling start in sports sedans, but not in a rotary-powered RX-7 car number 5. He's pacing the field. He'll pick the sweet spot for his car to launch from. Brett Dickey is suffering from old tyres. No budget to put new tyres on that car, and he was actually interested to see how long Darren Hossack can keep the pace. He's put on some nice new tyres for this weekend, and away we go. Hossack uses that advantage. Poole steps out. He, in fact, under power. The car stepped out on the rolling start. That car is designed to do a standing start in improved production. Sweeping through in turn 1, though, is the Hossack RX-7. Brett Dickey lines up in behind. So this is interesting. Poole out over the ripple strips. They're lucky there's a hard stand off the back of those ripple strips. Gilliland gets very close to the 28 there of Poole, but the triple rotor just gets on with business here. Have a look at Greg Lynch. He is absolutely powered down. And Aidan Munger, he's ranging up in this battle as well. So they pan out, underbrakes down into turn 4. Poole looks down the inside of Nash in the old supercar. Thinks better of it. The supercar will haul up brilliantly under brakes. Brett Dickey, just a little bit of a rear lock-up. Cold tyres there, just in the top shot. As we get a good look down the side of the G&G Racing Bollards Direct RX-7 of Graham Gilliland. Great to see Graham back inside the top 10. This car has had a massive transition over the last 18 months. Triple rotor on board. They've made some fairly significant aero changes as Lynch goes right around the outside. He's got the aero package working very, very well on that Commodore. Holds the inside running here. You park the big sports sedan between you and the Apex, and the two coupe-style cars or two-door cars have to go right round the outside, and that's what Aidan Munger does. Graham Gilliland gives him the room. Gentlemanly racer there by Graham, and powers away across the line to lead. Lap number 1 goes Darren Hossack, and he is in hot pursuit by Brett Dickey. So a rotor and a turbocharged 4-cylinder here at a track that generally is dominated by horsepower, and we're seeing Jim Pollicina trying to use that horsepower to get through on the Bollards Direct number 29.
He's still there, Darren, just around the outside, but he falls away and back behind the Honda Prelude. So very spirited start between the two competitors here. This is, of course, the battle for P2. We saw this yesterday, actually, during the race, and up the inside, is this going to be Pollicina in the number 7 Team Vodafone Commodore, and he gets that done nice and tidy. So can he replicate what we saw yesterday, where he started to make ground onto Darren Hossack, who was absolutely dynamite on cold tyres, especially in these starting conditions in the opening sequence of this race. Hossack is just a very experienced hand, especially racing these style of sports sedans, and he's doing a terrific job out the front as well. But this battle rages on. So this is Jeremy Davidson. I correct myself, in the number 37 RX-7. He's made his way past the car of Greg Lynch, who, of course, is also doing double duties like so many people here this weekend. And he's got 2 sets of tyres allocated for that car, and he's got the good set. He will, by his own admission, he'd call them the prime set of tyres bolted to the cars for the sports sedans appearances this weekend. There's Andrew Parker in the Sentinel Commodore. Aidan Munger all over the back of him in that S15 Sylvia. Doesn't it look absolutely spectacular, Darren? But it's another Japanese JDM car with a thoroughbred V8 power plant underneath the bonnet. So it's playing tricks on the viewers, but it's when you hear it live and in full HD trackside, you hear just the it's a bit of a shocking moment when you can hear a V8. Oh, extremely close there between Gilliland up the inside of Greg Lynch there. There's about an RX-7's width between those two going into turn 1, but Gilliland getting up the inside as well. And we should point out the fact that Gilliland, with the raft of changes, as you pointed out before, Darren, to that car, as it's made its steady evolution over its existence since the early 2000s. It's something that Graham Gilliland continuously change his approach, change his driving style, get used to all of the rafter changes as they continue to bring it up to spec. Here's Monga on the outside. He's just a little bit on the grass there, and that allows Andrew Butcher up the inside in the E46 BMW. Monga on the apron to the far left-hand side as well. He's definitely exploring track limits in this morning's race day.
Here comes Ben McLeod, sporting the damage on the back of his car after he clouded the wall coming out of turn 4 yesterday. And that won't make him happy at all. He always pays very close attention to the cosmetics of his car. And for that fact, even all the effective working parts in that car as well. Ben presents a very, very fine sports sedan, but he's ranging his way back up through the field, of course, starting from rear of the grid and just trying to pick up where he is. 13th on the timesheet, but he's made a couple of spots since the last lap around. And this is Aiden Munga. I might have called Davison Munga before, but sorry about that. Jeremy Davison doing a terrific job in the RX-7 FD. Oh, Aiden Munga goes all 4 wheels off into the dirt. There's not too many that get to save that, particularly in a sports sedan at these rate of knots that they're going through there. Gathers it all back up. I'm pretty sure he'll be reaching for a new driving suit for this afternoon's race after that little experience. There's Jeremy Davison. He's in that black RX-7 that is ranging up onto the back of Poole. And here comes Graham Gilliland as well. Graham's actually really found his pace today, doing personal best there at 1:39.51 for Graham Gilliland. And there goes Andrew Butcher. He's getting plenty of practice in before the Improved Production Nationals, which will be Island Magic this year. Munga down the inside now. I tell you what, and then Ben McLeod's just picking up an Uber as he goes around through turn 4. The door's open, you've just got to catch up and get in if you want to ride around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. As door now closed, continues on. Munga fighting back with Andrew Parker. And there goes Hossack. Hossack has wheeled off the track, and I think he's going to try to continue, but with slicks on, no, he has stopped. So that's a shame. The car was going so fast. Jim Policina now with the fastest lap and leading this race as we go back to Andrew Parker. Looks to be the cork in the bottle at the moment because he's got McLeod and Munga lining up behind him to get through. And the 72 of McLeod just gets through on Munga, and now he's got to get through on Andrew Parker. He looks to go wide, ducks back in, late apex, and he'll set up Parker for the run down the straight here. Two Commodores line astern with each other. McLeod pulls out and looks for track position, draws alongside. Has he got the job done? Parker notoriously holds on and nicely does it there. Parker in the Sentinel car just holds out Ben McLeod for one more corner. You get the feeling though, Callum, that it's inevitable that Ben McLeod will come through in the number 72.
Yeah, he's got plenty of pace, and he's shutting the door on your opponents to a literal level with that door, the left rear door opening. We'll see it here as he comes up to turn 4, and there it goes flying open, and he actually got the meatball flag from the start-finish line as well. So race control indicating to Ben McLeod that the car is not mechanically fit for track conditions at the moment, which is an unfortunate thing for Ben McLeod to face, given the amount of effort and time that his team has put in to get that car turned around after yesterday's accident. And it looks like they visited Francois Habib, who is here this weekend, and borrowed the rear bumper bar from his Dodo Commodore, which we saw in competition at Sandown about a month ago. And it actually looks like it fits rather splendidly at the back there. Yeah. But Munga's having a spot, he's got the best view of it, but he's going to have a try and look around outside. He opens the door and makes that Commodore even wider, and it's a much harder opportunity, but Munga thinks nothing of it. 'Tis but a thing, and sails up the inside coming through turn 11, Darren.
Yeah, so Ben has been given the meatball. Let's see, no, he doesn't come pit bound. He'll get it for a second lap around, and then they'll withdraw the scoring on that car. So the meatball flag goes back out again. No, missed the car down there, so that won't count. But Graham Gilliland for the G&G Engineering and Bollard's Direct is just trying ever so hard to get onto the back of Poole to get inside the top 5. This is a good run for Graham Gilliland. Just up the road a little bit as his teammate or, well, the Bollards Direct crew, and that's Brett Dickey, currently second on the road. And this is a ripping run at the front here. The turbocharged Honda, 2-litre Honda, and a 5-litre V8 in front here. Of course, Brett Dickey is now a veteran of the Pikes Peak sprint up that massive mountain in Colorado, and has been doing it for a number of years in the Project Imports entry. And now this weekend, back in the family car, back in the family sports sedan. This is where it all comes back to when he comes home. Formula Ford racer from many years ago. And of course, the family sports sedan, his dad and his brother all get together and they present this car right in behind Jim Pollicina now. Just doesn't have the answer for the Commodore, or does he? Looks to the inside. There it is, Paul Dickey puts the nose of the Honda in the lead of the race. It is only the nose. Gets back over, tries to hold some real estate. Jim Pollicina gets tight there, so you'd have to say maybe gave him a little bit of room, or just gave him enough racing room so that they didn't come together. But Brett Dickey leading the Advanced Car Carriers Sports Sedan race number 2 for the weekend on old rubbish tyres. He is leading a race.
This is a fantastic battle, Darren. The F-Series Honda engine from an S2000 with a turbocharger will be loving these relatively cool conditions this morning, and this is where we can expect to see some of the Hollywood numbers in terms of outright pace from the entire field of sports sedans, proudly supported by Advanced Car Carriers here this weekend at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Brett Dickey, how about that run coming out of Siberia through the hay shed? Opens up a few car lengths over Pollicina in that beautifully presented Team Vodafone Commodore. You can see on screen, of course, that car running a very famous livery and has had some very famous alumni behind the wheel in its long and storied history. Look at this, Poole and Gilliland almost coming together there through Siberia. That was a very awkward moment there. And we're just getting reports from the timing tower.
From the flies off Poole's car.
There's fluid coming out, reports underneath the Poole car. So the skirt has obviously flown off, and perhaps that was what was leaving a trail behind the car. But that was extremely awkward between Gilliland and Adam Poole. So we're not too sure what's occurred to the South Australians. Holden Monaro, the number 28 car, you can see on screen there. It's been a few seasons since its last appearance at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, and he's got a very busy schedule here this weekend, competing not just in sports sedans but also in improved production. Here's Gilliland getting a good run onto the main straight. How does the horsepower compare between the massive power plant of Adam Poole and the triple rotor Mazda RX-7 of Gilliland behind? He's very smart under brakes there. Now, Poole might have just been a little bit spooked there, because he would have heard, I mean, the drivers behind the wheel, they are in the best possible position to know exactly what's going on with the vehicles underneath them, and the skirt flying off the car there would have just maybe just unsettled him ever so slightly. So here's a replay, Darren, of what has taken place. We've got Davidson flowing through the screen there, and we've got the car of Brown as well.
Here we go. This is the battle that's live now with Gilliland, who understeered on the entry to turn 2 there. Lynch now looking to grab a hold of Poole as well. So this is getting very interesting. But Poole, of course, he is running the Yokohama control tyre for improved production. Here's the replay coming out of 4. Gilliland gets the job done under brakes and into 4. Poole then dives deep. Ooh, that was awkward. That was very, very awkward. Poole went very deep there, and I don't think Graham thought he was going to go so deep, and that was a bit of a Hail Mary there, but awkward stuff. Both thought they had the corner. What it has, though, is we are back out in front, and I reckon the next 1 or 2 laps in Brett Dickey's life are going to be the longest of his life here. He's got a lead on Jim Pollicina, 1.2 seconds. Jim Pollicina's got a championship to win here at the moment, chasing down Brett Dickey, who has no championship. He is here just to take a win and give the car a good run and a boost, as Ben McLeod's going slow there now as well after he got the meatball flag, and that'll be the first time that car's ever had a meatball flag. It's always been so magnificently presented, but that door just staying open. Just what a horrible thing to get a meatball flag for, a door that is just not closing properly. What is not horrible is that this white Honda, no, is another slowing car. The 94 of David Shaw. So good to have David back on track, and it is slowing there as well. Here's Ippolito here as well, and Davison in behind. So this is a good battle, but Ippolito is trying from position number 4 to stay in this championship hunt here this weekend. And we are coming down to the time certain clock, and it has just eclipsed. And we are waiting for our race leader. The last lap board has been readied for Brett Dickey. He will start his last journey of the 4.48 kilometres of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Davison and Ippolito, the advanced car carriers, Sports Sedan field. The Bandit Security RX-7. This car was driven recently in a test day by Cadell Ambrose at Winton Motor Raceway. And he gave it the seal of approval from a national sports sedan competitor with John Gourlay. He'll step out of that car. Rand McGlurkin Jr. now. Rand McGlurkin Sr. has withdrawn from the race, and there is the pink Calibra. I did ask him on social media if it is a reference to the Porsche Pink Pig, but it is certainly a weapon of a sports sedan. We go back to John Ippolito and Jeremy Davison. And the RX-7, weapon of a thing. Two menacing black sports sedans carving their way around. These guys at the moment, John Ippolito 4th on the track, and Graham Gilliland just off the back of this battle with Greg Lynch. But at the moment, we're winding it down on the last lap for this guy here. Brett Dickey in the Bollards Direct ACL Pistons, car number 29. Charges his way around turn number 12, fronts down the front straight here at Phillip Island. The goosebumps are rising on all the sports sedan competitors to see Brett drive this Honda. They have worked so hard on this car. What a result. Well done, Brett Dickey. Well done to the family and the team. Bollards Direct and ACL for all of the work that they have just pressed on with that car. Brett Dickey takes a very sweet victory indeed. Jim Policina will make it into P2, and certainly closing the door rapidly on anyone else trying to challenge him for the Advanced Car Carriers Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. Alan Nash, what a lonely drive he did in car number 11 to get home into P3, as we see John Ippolito with the next car with Jeremy Davison right behind. Davison will be left wondering what might have been there, but Ippolito really, Callum, trying to keep that championship points thing alive with Jim Policina.
And yes, like doing a fantastic job indeed. And yeah, you just pointed out Alan Nash in that Perkins Engineering Jack Daniels Commodore. A rather lonely race, but takes his racing very seriously. And that Jack Daniels car is, of course, Perkins Engineering chassis number 46, as raced by Jack Perkins in period back in 2007. So here's a replay. Adam Poole getting very unsettled there under brakes. That is a very hard, very difficult braking area, Darren. It's downhill and it's extremely hard to modulate the brake pedal and arrest all of that speed. And we should point out he's running on semi-slicks in this race as well. So here's confirmation of the results from race 2 of the sports sedans supported by Advanced Car Carriers. Brett Dickey home in position 1. Fantastic effort from Brett, using the conditions to his absolute optimal maximum performance to come home in the win. Jim Policina home in position 2 ahead of Alan Nash. John Ippolito scoring crucial points, remaining ever consistent in position 4. Jeremy Davidson in that beautiful sounding RX-7 in position 5. Graham Gilliland home in 6th. Greg Lynch in 7th. Adam Mullinger home in 8th position. We should point out that he did leave the track on Friday and came back on Saturday, so hard effort there from him to get that car sorted out for this weekend. But that was race 2 of Advanced Car Carriers Sports Sedans here at round 5, the grand final. It's the last day of school, Darren, for the Trico Vic State Race Series.
Fantastic shot there, watching Brett Dickey, who won the race this morning, and there is a fair bit of homework that we need to do. Jim Policina he's dominating out in front in the championship. It's then John Ippolito on 178 points and Greg Lynch on 169 for outright. But on points in the championship, for the club championship. Darden Brown sits in a nice position, but it is Greg Lynch leading the way. No, sorry, John Ippolito leading the way over Greg Lynch, Ben McLeod, Aidan Munger. Sorry, Jim Policina, and then Aidan Munger. Jim Policina is leading the 4 to 6 litre class over Warren Clellan and the McGlurkins, and Alan Nash on 38 points. The floor pan class is being led by Greg Lynch to John Ippolito, and then Aidan Munger. And the 2 to 4s is definitely Darden Brown over Tegan Collins leading the championship. They're being joined by Callum Brannigan. Callum, let's have a good look at this grid sheet as they come around for their rolling start. As Brett Dickey leads the field, Jim Policina in car number 7, Alan Nash in the number 11, John Ippolito in the number 97, Jeremy Davison in the RX7, coming around in position number 5, Graham Gilliland. Great result for Graham. He's really starting to gather momentum in the orange RX7. Greg Lynch is out of position number 7. He's in the championship hunt, as is the guy alongside him, Aidan Munger. Adam Poole, I don't think Adam has made his way out on track, but Andrew Parker in the number 14 is next there in the Commodore. Andrew Butcher in the BMW, been running an improved production trim. Andrew Cook, Ben Kelly in the black number 69 Commodore. Ben McLeod in the number 72 red Commodore. Ran McGlurkin in the 54. We'll keep an eye out for where the number 54, the Holden Calibra. And just watching, there goes the pink McGlurkin car. Yes, so that will be Rand McGlurkin in the 54. Darden Brown, Bruce Henley, and then the number 56 of the McGlurkins, which is the black Corvette TA type of car. David Shaw, he's joined us after a little bit of an issue in the last race. There's Tegan Collins. No Darren Hossack after resetting the lap record for the over 3s yesterday. Darren Hossack is not out on track, or no, that's Darden Brown. Just watching. So the car's lining up for their rolling start, and looking the goods. Hopefully we can get a good result for the number 37, Jeremy Davison in that RX7. Been pushing hard over the last couple of rounds, has Jeremy, in the Bandit Security entry. And really cool that he is also helping Cadell Ambrose in his sports sedan career as well. But away we go. Brett Dickey gets gazumped by the 5 litre cars around him, but he winds up the turbo, and this is going to be 3 from 3 into turn 1. John Ippolito swoops into the lead of this one, and that is championship on right there. He has sent a very, very clear signal to all around him. John Ippolito goes charging on through there and lets everyone around him know he has chasing the from 192 to 205. Greg Lynch on 205. There's Greg Lynch. He's down at about 7th place, but Ippolito absolutely brained them into turn 1. Under brakes now. Brett Dickey in the Honda using all of his talent. A bit of a nudge there from behind. That was Jeremy Davison getting a little bit of a hurry along there with Greg Lynch, and just trying to see where Jeremy Davison has gone in the black RX7 as Brett Dickey recovers the lead from John Ippolito.
What an epic start there by John. He snuck through the middle. He got a fantastic start there, getting the power down absolutely beautifully, but Alan Nash made a brilliant start himself in the number 11 Jack Daniels Perkins Engineering Commodore, but he had nowhere to go because Brett Dickey closed the door firmly. He had his sights firmly set on minimising the power deficit that he's got in that F-Series Honda S2000 turbocharged power plant underneath the white Honda Prelude, and just trying to make sure that he could try and maintain the lead. Now that's Aidan Munger into the back of Greg Lynch. Now that was a bit of an awkward moment there. I don't think Munger had control of the car under brakes. Obviously they got cold tyres.
My apologies to Jeremy Davison there. Sorry, Callum. I thought that was Jeremy, but no, it was Aidan Munger. So Jeremy goes on, no harm, no foul, but Ippolito now coming under massive pressure from all of those around him. Did he overcook it on that opening lap? Has he not? Has he hurt a tyre a cold tyre and got a bit of graining on the slick, but certainly, yeah, there it is. There's tyre rubbing on the Ippolito car. Not too sure what that would be from. Maybe he's suffered a mount or something on the diff, but definitely tyre rubbing on the guard.
This looks epic, doesn't it, Darren? You've got two VE V8 supercars as close as they raced in period out there at the moment, racing against one another in the advanced car carriers, race 3-4 sports, sedans, and Alan Nash leading the way from Jim Policina. Policina down from New South Wales. He's got a very busy racing schedule no matter what year it is, and he's got his commitments in the Australian Ferrari Challenge. He also doubles in the Touring Car Masters, and then he also competes in sports sedans as well. I think he's got two VE Commodores in the garage that he wheels down from Sydney, and he's been a regular this year in the Victorian Sports Sedans Championship, and it shows. Look how beautiful that number 17 Vodafone 888 Race Engineering built Holden Commodore all over the back of Alan Nash. And that Jack Daniels Commodore, that was chassis PE46. I've said it a number of times, Darren, but both of these cars here this weekend, they are beautiful examples of cars that have not been changed. We should give a big shout out as well to the Andrew Cook Better Electrical Falcon that is out there in competition. Obviously that car did race in V8 supercars back in the day, but at the moment it's got a 6-litre NASCAR power plant underneath the bonnet. So
not wanting for horsepower, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's got no issues in a straight line. Have a look at Policina around the outside. He's out in the grey. That is the long way around the Southern Loop, Darren. Nash gives him more than enough room, though. This is fantastic racing between these two ex-V8 supercars.
Jim Policina, at the end of today's racing, will take home the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships for sports sedans. 228 points coming into this one, and Lynch is behind him, and Ippo is also behind him. So they're the two protagonists. John Ippolito led the first lap. He succumbed to something with that car, and these guys have just come through on him since then. But as it stands right now, Jim Policina will take the Victorian State Series for sports sedans. The Advanced Car Carriers Championship will continue on for the Club Championship within the Victorian Sports Sedan Association, all the way to the coveted 50k plate, which will be at Island Magic at the end of November. There's Jeremy Davidson, and that is a magnificent looking and sounding demonic matte black, or it's not exactly gloss black, matte, let's call it satin black with gloss black accents on that car. But Jeremy is coming along absolutely gangbusters, and I tell you what, his secret weapon is one Cadell Ambrose. He is helping with the setting of this car, and Cadell, we've seen it round one, and we certainly nearly saw him at the last round. Unfortunately, the car had a fire on board, a car that is brand new and developing with John Gourlay, but Jeremy Davison is enjoying having the enthusiasm of Cadell Ambrose helping him out at Winton midweek here and there, just a quiet little practice day. And Jeremy Davison now is sitting very, very nicely indeed in this race. So gathering it all up, he's got another RX-7 behind him, another triple rotor there of Graham Gilliland.
We should point out we've got a GoPro bolted in that car of Jeremy Davidson for this race, so keep an eye on Blendline TV socials on Facebook and Instagram, as well as the Vic State Race Series. If you're not already following the Vic State Race Series on Facebook and Instagram, we highly encourage you to do so. We've been banking a few onboard cameras and a few pieces as well with a number of drivers up and down the pit lane, so we highly encourage you to do that, as well as follow basically every single category that does compete with us, from Formula RX8 all the way to Victorian Sports Sedans. You see plenty of love on the Vic State Race Series page, as well as on the Blendline pages between race weekends, so the action doesn't stop during the broadcast. Here is a fantastic story. Ben McLeod. It's been a weekend of trial and tribulations. It started in the best possible fashion by going on a beautiful Friday afternoon drive from the track to the town, Thompson Avenue in Cowes, parked out the front of Pino's Pizza. There's the red 72 on screen now, just ahead of Andrew Parker. But then unfortunately in race one, the car came unstuck for McLeod, but massive effort from the team to get it repaired for race this morning. And then they had a door flying open in that race as well. So it really might be a weekend to forget for Ben McLeod, but let's hope that he can finish on a high note, because at the moment he's currently sitting in P7, and if he had been looking, or if you had told him that at some point yesterday he'd be finishing the weekend in P7, he probably wouldn't have believed you, Darren.
Well, he's 5th in the outright points for the Australian Sports Sedan Championship of Victoria. This is another ripping bloke, Warren Cleland, out there as well in this marked car. Getting his head around it, it's taken him just a little bit longer than he would like for the number 33 driver. Of course, we saw him for a number of years in that black RX-7, but he is now out there in that marked car, and we've seen Tony Groves win the Victorian Championship in a marked car going back a couple of years ago, so keep an eye on it. Greg Lynch now coming under fire. He has got a very busy program here this weekend. He wants to take home podium results for the championship in both, well, in Vic V8's winning it, but also trying to remain in touch with the podium result for the sports sedans as well, and that is a mammoth effort that Greg embarks on, and should be congratulated. But at the moment, he's got Ben McLeod, who's really able to put that car wherever he wants on the track. Just over 6 minutes remaining. Brett Dickey is driving a ripper race meeting. He is absolutely on it.
Old tyres,
and he is continuing to do it. McLeod, the challenge is on, Callum.
Absolutely. He's got the blowtorch all over the back of Greg Lynch. Greg Lynch always smiling up and down pit lane. You'd expect that from the dentist. And Ben McLeod having a look around the outside. God, he's ranged onto the back of the VT Commodore. Let's get a fantastic comparison between the two power plants. The car in front, Greg Lynch, being prepared by Ravage Raceworks, who've got a number of cars here this weekend. And of course, Ben McLeod of Black Mamba Racing. Great comparison between the two, considering these cars are both converted road cars. They couldn't be... I mean, there's so many variations and permutations between these two vehicles, but the performance is so equal between these two Commodores, from engine all the way to aero through to the bar work inside of the car, the technical ancillaries. They couldn't be more different, but they both produce their power and speed and ultimate lap pace in very similar ways. But Greg Lynch having an absolute ball this weekend, doing double duties. Very tidy under brakes. It must be pointed out that apart from the fact that the car is incredible in a straight line and it sounds incredible, it's very good and very capable under brakes. And as we've touched on, he's rotating through 2 sets of slick tyres this weekend, nominating the better set, I guess, by his own standards. The less used set he's been reserving for his Sports Sedans race, because he's actually in contention for both the Vic V8s and the Sports Sedans Championships.
Talking about Sports Sedans, here's a chassis and here is a silhouette synonymous with Victorian Sports Sedan Racing. Graham Gilliland, he removed the twin rotor that served him like a servant over many, many years. He thought, let's go for it. Let's have a real dip at a lap time. Put a triple rotor in, and they've really had to scratch their head. They've changed some aero aspect on this car. They've changed the tune a couple of times as well. And Graham is no stranger to developing a tricky car, and he has absolutely this weekend bobbed his head above the water and gone, we're starting to get this thing pointing in the right direction. Here's a couple of cars that will draw your attention. The 66 better electrical car there is definitely one to watch, and definitely draws your attention. That's Andrew Cook in the AU Falcon, and Rand McGlurkin in the Pink Pig, the Calibra out there. It was demonic matte blue last time I saw it, and black. Now it is it's happy joy, and it's pink out there at the moment. So the man who was a tattooist, he's an artist, he's a rock band protagonist, you name it. He's a race car preparer. I think fancies himself more as a race driver than all those others. Ben McLeod and Greg Lynch just coming together there, and that pushes Greg Lynch down the Joker lap, or the return road for MotoGP, and ripped something out of the car there too. There was something black that hit the ground there. So a coming together of those two cars, and that really wasn't pretty. Not too sure what happened there, but certainly it has put Ben McLeod right back down there as we get a good look at Aidan Munger. He looks like he's had a punch in the left eye, doesn't he? The left-hand headlight out of that car. And our race leader, Brett Dickey for Bollards Direct and ACL Pistons in the family-built Honda. Here we go. Oh, Greg Lynch moved over, gave Ben very little room to try and turn into that corner there. So Greg Lynch moved over, jagged over actually to the left there, and left Ben really hung out to dry with no track to go, and kind of an awkward coming together. There's been a few of them this weekend. For advanced car carriers, though, this is our race leader, car number 29, Brett Dickey. Synonymous with Australian motorsport in Colorado in the USA. Fronts up every year in the freezing cold, wind and snow to take on Pikes Peak in the Project Imports team. Does this country proud, basically carries us all on his shoulders representing Australia. He took Graham Gilliland over there this year to enjoy the experience. I tell you what, this weekend, if he can carry this one through the next couple of laps, this will be as equal a mountain to climb. This time last week, Brett wasn't actually going to be racing this weekend. They were coming down to do Friday practice only just to get some laps in, make sure the car was good. Bollard's Direct put in the call and said, mate, we can pick up a couple of things along the way here, the entry and the garage, and Brett said, yeah, let's do it. Checkered flag, it comes out a bit early, and I guess Brett Dickey will be very happy indeed to see that. Jim Policina charges to the line. He'll have taken the Victorian Sports Sedans Championship in the Victorian State Circuit Racing Series. So congratulations to Jim Policina. Here comes John Ippolito. He'll fight for another day, but Ippo will come to the line. Nash has got through it before him in the JD Supercar. Charging at the line though at the end there is Davison getting home in 5th. Very, very close there indeed. And Graham Gilliland on the back there. So he's found the sweet spot in the orange RX-7. Here comes Lynch and Munger after coming together with Ben McLeod on the final lap. Lynch gets to the line. Ultimately in 7th, Adrian Munger right in behind. That was close. And Ben McLeod just sporting a little bit of damage here this weekend, and is a tough fight this weekend for Ben McLeod. He needs to be congratulated for doing the track to town drive. It would have felt like more of a marathon in the heat in that car. Cook gets to the line there in that AU Falcon. Callum, I know you love an AU. You're a member of the Appreciation Society there. So the big Falcon gets to the line. Rand McGlurkin in behind in 11th place in the Calibra.
Absolutely, Darren. Who doesn't love an AU Falcon doing incredible things? So that wraps up Sports Sedans action for this weekend. Courtesy of Advanced Car Carriers. It's a big thanks to the team for their support of grassroots motorsport. It's also a big thanks to Trico. When was the last time you checked your Tricos, Darren? We have to say massive thanks for their ongoing support throughout 2025, as well as the multi-year support the Big State Race Series has received from 888 Home Loans. So without further ado, we've got E30s and XLs coming up next, and they're coming at you thick and fast. We've got a little bit of time to try and make up in the program.